Welcome to Hypnotic Authenticity. This is a place to reflect, a place to unwind perhaps, to understand yourself a little better, and to gently reshape the patterns that guide your life. A little bit like a conversation between you and your deeper self. So I'm offering a sprinkling of hypnosis, insight, some meditative guidance, and it's all going to be woven throughout a deep sense of practicality. So that if I do my job well, each episode is going to help you feel more grounded, also more open, and more authentically you. So if you're ready, let's begin.
I want to give you my observations on time, on impatience, on frustration. I was one of these characters who was very, very driven. If I didn't use the moment well, I was kind of disappointed with myself. I was kind of impatient to use my time productively. And what I kind of came to realize way after the point was that being impatient in that way meant that I was never ever enjoying the moment. I was always somehow in the future. I was always somehow projecting myself and checking out what I was going to do next. And I was also always kind of judging my experience versus my expectation of how experience should be. None of which was particularly conducive to actually enjoying what it was that I had at that moment. And I find myself now in a timeless place, I think is the best way to describe it, or a place filled with time, let's call it. We have cliff dwellings here. We have existence of individuals going back, well, at least to 1000 AD. We reckon maybe 600 AD, and I've read articles saying well before that. And the majority of the people that are around here all upped and left for reasons that we don't know. We're around about 1300, 1400. Anyway, it's a wonderful place, and it made me think about timelessness. Now, let me just show you a little bit of the types of beauty that can be seen. So what can I talk to you about time? I guess number one is you've got as much time as anybody else. That doesn't make it a scarce commodity. It makes it a finite commodity. But in order to consider it as a commodity, you have to give it significance as a thing. And is time a thing? And the reason that I think it's important to talk about time is that your sense of inner peace, your sense of what it is to be you, is kind of wrapped up in this concept of what we consider to be time. Because, you know, we know about time, we can understand time, we can understand the flow of event by event by event. We can understand that heat dissipates as time passes, you know, so we can prove to ourselves that this time thing exists. And this has bothered me. It's bothered me all my life, in actual fact. So it turns out that time is temporal, right? Time is locational. Time is a perception based upon your location to a center of gravity. Time moves at different speeds depending upon how far away from that center of gravity you may make. Time we understand through the order and the shuffling and the transition and what they call entropy going on in the life around us and deducing things from that. You know, metals rust. And so we come to feel that we have a sense of aging, a sense of a certain amount of time on this planet, and then we're dead and gone. Everything that I talk about in all of my videos is somewhat to do with the stories that are running inside our mind, okay? And I think this idea of time is kind of useful in that it gives you a push in order to do the things that you want to get done. But it's also incredibly unhelpful in that it places a frame around the stories of your existence. And in my particular instance, it most definitely stopped me from enjoying the moment. I was never in the moment. I was always either in the future, checking out what I was going to do next, or I was thinking about what I'd already done and whether it was good enough and whether I should have done it differently. And so I was never with the moment. And I think the easiest way to be with the moment is to jettison your entire concept of time. I'm not saying that time is wrong, but time is a story perceived around your location, resting on the top of the earth, understanding what you understand from your position here, But if you were out on Proxima B, you'd still be the same individual, but your concept of time would be entirely different. So in a way, much like fixed ideas, your concept of time is a story, it's a hook upon which you hang your sense of reality. And that can be useful. It can be a fantastic thing to help you get things done, to help you catch your train, to help you get to work on time, to help you use your time productively. But when you hang too much of a hook on that reality, it starts to enslave you rather than being a useful tool for how to appreciate what's going on. Because at the end of the day, whether that time is finite or not, it hardly really matters, right? What happens is that you have an experience, that experience passes by, then you have another experience, then there's a sort of a gap, and then there's another experience, and there are constantly things coming into awareness, dropping off of awareness. There are thoughts coming up, thoughts disappearing. Sometimes you end up in timeless locations like this. Sometimes you're on the subway in New York, blah-de-blah-de-blah. The thing is, what we have are a series of junctures in time that we consider the now, that which we relate to our fixed ideas, our stories, and come up with an assessment of whether that's good or bad or indifferent. And it doesn't matter whether that's for activities, for relationships, for events. Everything is kind of tied inextricably into this concept of what and where and when we are. So if you find yourself with this massive, massive sense of impatience or frustration that things are not getting done in the way that they should, it might be worth asking yourself, when am I? There's some wonderful, wonderful questions that the Stoics come up with. Where am I? Is also quite a useful one. But stick with when am I? When you're thinking whatever it is that you're thinking, when are you? Are you now? Are you in the future? Are you thinking about things that you've done in the past? When are you? And then once you've done that, try where are you? Physically, where are you? But mentally, where are you? Where is your imagination? Can you touch it? Or is it a figment of a story of a part of your brain which is demanding your attention in this moment in time? When you can start to relativize this depth of your understanding, this depth of your personal experience, then you can start to let go of it. That's what's useful about the Stoics, okay? The idea of the Stoics is that, all these things that I'm taking for granted, they might be true, but they might not, and they're most certainly not the entirety of the truth. So you can lighten up, you can start to see the things that you think are sure from a different perspective, and you can come to different conclusions on that. And one of the wonderful things about it is this concept of time. Because once you throw away the concept of time, even if it's just for a brief moment, then you can enjoy the moment. Then you are truly present. Then it doesn't matter about the passage of time. What matters is you sucking the juice out of that juncture, that awareness, that brief moment of consciousness of all of this or that or the other. And suddenly every moment, however you'd want to define it, becomes precious. And that's the most important thing about time, right? Is that the moment is precious. It's very, very hard to stay in the present moment, constantly being dragged into what am I going to do later? or back into, did I lock the door? Right? It's constantly going on. But if you take a moment, right, this is why meditation can be quite useful. This is why hypnosis can be quite useful. You're setting yourself a moment of handing away that story and being whatever you are, without requirements, without setting, and just allowing that to be. And you end up utterly timeless. I think I'll leave it there. Yeah, go be timeless for a moment or two. It's a complicated subject, time. If you want to have a sort of a bit more of a chew on time, have a look at some books by Carlo Rovelli. The Order of Time is an absolutely wonderful book. You can even get it on an audio file, which I seem to remember was narrated by Jeremy Irons. Absolutely fascinating understanding of what it is that we think we're so sure about. And yeah, you can put your whole understanding of your personal experience into a different set of boxes. I'm not saying you can completely step outside of all the boxes, but you can at least jiggle the boxes around. All right, thanks for watching. Cheers, take care. If this is of interest, maybe have a look at some of the hypnotic inductions, because that might give you a deeper ceremony to find a way into timelessness. Subscribe, check it out. Let me know in the comments down below if there's something of this that is particularly pertinent.
Thank you for listening. If it supported you in some way or helped you to question your inner experience, then follow the show. Personally, I would be really grateful if you might also leave a quick rating. It makes a huge difference in terms of discoverability so that other people who might benefit can find the podcast. If you prefer a visual element, check out Authentic Life Hypnosis on YouTube. And if you're looking for deeper work beyond one-way audio yourself, you're very welcome to reach out. Equally, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Until next time.